Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In the last video, we learned about anchors and how they are used to position elements. And in this video, we'll be learning more about anchors. So I'll also tell you about something called margin, right? So let's get started. Uh, Sorry, let's draw a window first. Yeah, I'm very bad at drawing rectangles. Let's say this is our window, right? We know by default every item is placed with the left and the top, right? Now, what if I want to have some gap between these two elements, right? What if I want my element to be like this? There should be some gap here and some gap here, right? Now, we can achieve this using something called margin, right? Now, as you've guessed, this is placed on the right and the top. So obviously the margin will be right margin and top margin, right? Now, let's see how you can do this. So we have done anchors dot right, and what we will do now is we'll say anchors dot right margin, and we'll give it some margin. Let's say 10. Similarly, for anchors dot top, we'll say anchors dot top margin, and let's say we give it 20. So it will be a little more obvious. Like, let's run the program. Yeah, if you can see, there is more gap from in this item from the top and a little gap from the right, right? So since this is 10, so the gap is a little bit, and since this is 20, the gap is more visible, right? So this is what's called margin. Now, uh, we can do the same for all the other items. I hope that's clear to you. Now, for we now learned that to give some gap, we can use margin. Now, let's move on to the next concept with anchors, right? Now, let's say this is a window, right? And you want a rectangle to be like this. Sorry, it like doesn't exceed the border. Like, obviously that's not possible. Like, think. Look, I'm pretty bad at drawing rectangles. Like, let's check this one, right? Yeah. Now, you want a rectangle to fill the width of the parent and to have some height, like let's say height of 50, right? So how can you achieve this? One thing you can do is you can say width is parent dot width. Yeah, but how can you achieve the same with anchors? Right, let's see. Let's say this is the window and this is the rectangle, right? The rectangles left and the parents left are the same. The rectangles right and the parents right are the same, and the rectangles bottom and the parents bottom are the same, right? So we can do that. Let's try. Now I'll comment out all of this, like we don't need it right now. Let's create a new rectangle. We are saying that its left is the same as parents left, its right is also the same as parents right, and its bottom is the same as parents bottom. And let's give it some color. Obviously I'll choose this color. Now see what happened. Obviously now we also need to give it some height, right? Otherwise the rectangle will not be visible. Like, so let's give it some height of 50. Right now we positioned it with these anchors, but it needs some height, right? The width will be adjusted with these two properties. Now let's see. Let's run the application. Yeah, as you can see, it has adjusted itself with the bottom. Like when I move up, you can see that the width is adjusted, right? So this is also another way of giving the width using anchors, right? Now, what if I also say that anchors dot top is nothing but parent dot top? Now what will happen is this pink color rectangle will cover the entire window. I hope that makes sense. Now what just happened, right? Let's see. Suppose this is the window, right? You're saying that the rectangle's bottom and the parent's bottom are the same. Sorry. Yeah, the rectangle's right and the parent's right are the same. The rectangle's top and the parent's top are the same. The rectangle's left and the parent's left are the same. So in a way, the rectangle is exactly covering the window, right? So This is nothing but anchors dot fill parent. I hope you remember this concept. We learned it in the last class, like when we were like discussing how to draw the background. Uh, I think the code is deleted, but I hope you remember this one, right? So anchors dot fill parent does nothing but it does all the it sets all the four properties, like anchor dot left is parent dot left, anchor dot bottom, anchor dot right, and anchor dot top. Like if you set all these four properties, it's nothing but setting this one individually, right? So this is what anchors dot fill does. Now I hope that's clear to you. So let's try to write text instead of like background. So let's take a question, right? Let's say this is a window and I want my text to appear here, like let's say hello world. Like obviously this text is in the center, like it's aligned with the center of this window, like horizontal center, right? And it has some margin from the top, right? So how can we achieve this? Let's see. I'll remove this code first. Let's see if there is only a window element, what occurs, right? Nothing appears, right? Now there's a component called text and also a component called label. I'll prefer label, and I will also suggest you to use this component instead of the component called text. Like there's also a component called text, but use label wherever possible because it's a child of text and it has some more properties. Like you can also set the background of the text, like and all the other properties. So this is more powerful compared to text. So use it. Now it obviously needs something, right? So that we can show it. Let's say we write hello world. Now we have not positioned it, right? Right now it's not positioned anywhere, right? We did not use any anchors property. So right now it will appear on the top left. Let's try and see what appears, right? See, it appeared on the top left. Now I want it to appear something like this, on the middle, horizontally, and with some margin from the top. So let's see how we can do that. So as you remember, there was one property called anchors.horizontal center, right? We will use that. So anchors.horizontal center is parent.horizontal center. Like what it does is, let's say this is the window and this is the text. So this is a horizontal line. This is the center. So this will appear here, right? Right now we did not give any margin, so the text will appear here. Let's run. Like let me show you. Like this is the window. This is the text. The center is aligned horizontally with the window. Let's try and run it. Yeah, as you can see, it has centered itself, but we need some margin from the top, right? So uh, what you can do is you can say anchors dot top is parent dot top, because obviously margin without, like you cannot just say anchors dot top margin is 10. You also need to say that, hey, first of all you need to, let's like define it manually, like the anchor's top is aligned with the parent's top. After that you can give some margin, right? Let me show you. Like if I comment it out, this is not a good practice and I think it will fail. Yeah, it did not work, right? So you also need to manually define like anchors or top. Although this is done by default, still you need to do it manually, right? Although left and top are already given by default, still you need to define it manually. Now if you see there is some gap, like I think it's not that visible. Let's give it some more top margin of, let's say, 40, right? And let's run the application. Yeah, now I think it's visible. Obviously, the text is very small, right? So there must be some property of increasing the text size. So there is something called font dot pixel size and point size. Now you can use both, but I really suggest you to use point size. I think this is more constant and more consistent with different operating system, and most of the developers like suggest to use point size. Let's give it a point size of 25, and let's see, like compared to a point, how large it will see. Let's run the application. Yeah, I think this is visible enough, right? So this value you can like give it manually and see what works for you, right? So uh, now we have seen how to position an element and how to increase the font size of a label. This text property is what will be written in this label, right? Now you can also give some other properties like font dot family, and like here you can like give some font family like Arial or Times New Roman or something like that, right? So now I hope anchors is a bit more clear to you, like how to position elements. This was a bit tough part, but I hope you got the gist of this, right? Now, uh, in the next video, I'll like tell you how to build a basic like button, and on clicking on that button, like how to increase the text. Like for example, there will be a counter like a number, and on clicking on the button, the number will increase by one. Like for example, it starts with zero, and on clicking on the button, it will be one, two, three, and so on. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.